Hey everyone, I'm Joel Makower from GreenBiz. Welcome to this VERGE Accelerate on carbon removal. VERGE Accelerate is one of the ways that we bring promising young early stage entrepreneurs to the VERGE audience. We've been doing this for a number of years. And what are the solutions in the clean economy we should know about? Who are the companies that are starting to make waves that we should know about? And of course, this pitch session is focused on carbon. One of the unique things about Verge is that we bring the startups together with the potential partners who can help be their customers, pilot projects, licensors, maybe someday acquirers, certainly customers. But it's not a one-way street. So as you're watching these entrepreneurs and you see somebody or something that you like, I encourage you to click on the People tab that's on the right side of your screen, search for that entrepreneur's name, send them a message to say hello and connect with them, whether it's during or after Verge. So let me describe a little bit about what's going to happen over the next 29 minutes. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce our two esteemed industry experts. We'll get to hear their perspectives after each of the pitches. We're going to have 5 pitches, 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, no more than that each. And then immediately after this session, during the second half hour, we're going to go to a roundtable discussion where you're all invited to participate and have an interaction Q&A with the founders as well as the industry experts. And you'll have a chance to ask them the burning questions that you saw during their pitches. And then after the pitches are over, as we move over, or even as we move over to that roundtable, you'll all be invited to cast your vote to decide who wins the carbon challenge here. And that winner is going to be advanced. It's going to advance to go to the main stage finals. That's going to happen on Friday, along with the winner of the other 4 market-specific pitch sessions on energy, transportation, circular economy, and food. So let's get on with it. I'm really excited to have our 2 industry experts joining this session. I'll let them introduce themselves briefly. First up, starting with Nicholas Eisenberger. Nick?
Thanks, Joel. It's great to be here. I'm a longtime fellow traveler and friend of Joel's and GreenBiz and Verge, and a new fellow traveler with Brandon. Really a long time. I've been an investor and entrepreneur in the clean economy sector from pretty much my entire professional career, and for the last 10 years, really zeroed in on carbon tech and carbon removal. Incredibly passionate about this space, and really excited to hear these exciting businesses today.
Great, thanks, Nick. Great to have you here. And second is Brandon Marques. Brandon, say hi.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Marques. I have a background basically in investing. Started my career as an investment banker, traded commodities for a few years, exited the commodity industry to do some more private investing. Then I connected with Jonathan Goldberg, CEO of Carbon Direct, and basically Carbon Direct was born at that point. A little bit of background on Carbon Direct. What we do is twofold. First, we work with large corporations like Microsoft, Shopify, and a few others to design and execute their carbon removal goals. And the other side of our business, we have a growth equity fund that invests in carbon management and carbon use technologies. Thanks, Bert, for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here, Brandon. Let's get on with it. Our first presenter, 2.5 minutes, is Aadith Moorthy, the founder and CEO of ConserWater Technologies. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aadith. I'm the founder of ConserWater Technologies. And at ConserWater, we help farmers to sequester CO2 from the atmosphere at scale without using any sensors or hardware or soil sampling. How did I get here? It started nearly 5 years ago. I was traveling through a small village in South India, and this is what I saw. And nearby, there was a funeral procession. That year, a farming family had committed suicide because the monsoon rains had failed. That got me thinking, why do farmers have to struggle like this in the face of climate change? And that got me to ConserWater, where we use AI to help farmers to mitigate climate change at scale. How do we do it? This is how. We use over 100 satellites throughout the entire electromagnetic spectrum, along with our proprietary AIs to predict actionable insights about farmland, such as the soil moisture and soil carbon levels, and without any hardware or sensors or soil sampling. And based on this information, we are also able to help farmers to grow more with less by optimizing their resource usage. And we are also able to verifiably increase their soil organic carbon levels. And to take this to a planetary scale, we've launched the world's first truly international soil carbon offset marketplace, where organizations can buy some of the cheapest high-quality carbon credits while incentivizing farmers around the world to increase their soil organic carbon at scale. And according to the UN, this technique can actually sequester 20% of humanity's carbon footprint every single year, and is one of the most cost-effective ways to store carbon. But it's been stymied so far by the requirements for soil sampling on a farm level to really verify the carbon amount sequestered. But now, using ConserWater's hardware and soil sampling free AIs, we are not only able to correctly verify the requirements, but we're also able to enable it to happen at scale by giving farmers the appropriate advice they need to make it happen. And we are uniquely poised to take this global. We know how to sign on hundreds of farmers a week, and we already have global operations and the world's largest single non-governmental soil carbon sequestration project with millions of acres of farmland, tens of millions of tons of CO2 already sequestered and available to be bought. And we have especially large relationships to take this to scale. Along with Stanford University, we're doing randomized control trials with thousands of farmers to learn the ways to effectively change farmers' behavior. And we have big partners like telcos and so on. And now we invite all of you to join us by buying cheap carbon credits and helping farmers worldwide to fight back against climate change. Thank you.
Thank you, Aadith. Great coming in right on time. Let's turn to Brandon and Nick, our industry experts. What questions do you have for Aadith?
I have a quick one, Brandon. I'm just curious, how do you acquire customers? How do you get distribution of this? It's a very exciting idea, but how do you acquire a volume of customers?
Yeah, so we have multiple ways. Like I mentioned to you already, we have the world's largest non-governmental soil carbon sequestration project at millions of acres, tens of millions of tons of CO2 already sequestered. But other than that, we have a huge global array of partners that we have from our previous work. Like this carbon work we just embarked on is completely new, but before that, we've been selling directly to farmers some AI-based technology and how they can optimize the resource use. So we know how to recruit farmers with a 10-cent farmer acquisition cost. It's really, really low for us. So with that cost, we can easily recruit farmers at scale, like thousands of farmers at scale. So that's how we do things.
Thank you.
That was a good question, Nick. You stole mine. I'm glad I had another. My question is about the revenue model. Do you guys have a subscription fee for each farmer, and is this a flat subscription fee, or do you share in some of the savings they get from using your technology?
Yeah, so we are in the carbon credit system. So we would be taking a fee from every single ton of CO2 that we sequester successfully on the farm. But we also separately we sell the software for enabling them to do that at scale as well, right? So we would there's a subscription fee for getting additional AI-powered live real-time insights. But we also we also take a small fee from every single ton that they sequester because we're able to verify their sequestration with our AI to automatically detect the soil organic carbon levels.
Great. Well, I think we are at time on that. Thank you again, Aadith. We'll come back to you in the roundtable. But let's move on to our next presenter. It's Elba Herrera, the Business Development Manager at Puro.earth. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Elba. I am Elba Herrera from Puro.earth, the world's first B2B carbon removal marketplace. So there is too much CO2 in the atmosphere, and we need a large-scale deployment of carbon removal. At Puro.earth, we're focusing on technology-based approaches that also have the potential to scale at industrial levels globally. We have methods like biochar, which is a stable kind of carbon that can be used as a fertilizer in regenerative agriculture, carbonated building elements, which as they are manufactured, they are absorbing the CO2 and then used in the construction industry, wooden building elements, which conserve the CO2 that sustainably grown wood has captured, and other methods that together will have a carbon removal potential by 2050 of 15 gigatons per year. And as you can see, these all require facilities and infrastructure, so they will create a green economy to transition out of fossil fuels. And at current prices, there is a business potential of more than $700 billion. So how does it work? We've created a business model to scale carbon removal. At Puro.earth, we issue corks, and corks are CO2 removal certificates per ton of CO2 removed from the atmosphere. So suppliers get issued these corks and they sell them to corporate buyers who buy them to remove their CO2 emissions and to go net zero. Puro.earth takes a transaction fee. And what this means is that the extra income accelerates the growth of carbon removals. For the buyers, this means that they get a science-based carbon removal as a service, as we are verifying the suppliers for them. The Puro.earth marketplace is easy to use. We have an online system of listings where each supplier lists their projects with carbon net negativity, information about the method, cork price, and also buyers can do multi-year pre-purchase agreements. Clients are already trusting us, sustainability leaders like Shopify and Swiss Re, and the press is talking about us. In the last year, we've removed more than 10,000 tons of CO2. On the supply side, we have a pipeline of more than 100 suppliers in 5 continents, truly global. And on demand side, every day, more companies are making climate pledges to become carbon net zero. So we, the team of Puro.earth, are looking for $2 million of growth funding. Elba Herrera from Puro.earth. Please contact us.
Thank you, Elba. Great. Always, you guys are all so inspiring. Brandon, Nick, what do you got?
Brandon, over to you.
My question is focused on what you see the platform looking like in the future. I know you're focused on large corporations currently. Do you see a place for a B2C solution in the future, or do you just see Puro purely focusing on large corporations and kind of getting bulky contracts negotiated to kind of elicit supply going forward?
There is certainly very many ways to grow. And we are focusing right now on B2B, but B2C is for sure something that could happen. What we see is that some corporations, of course, are trying to help their customers also use carbon removals in their shopping. So it's very possible that it could go that way too.
Great, thank you. I have a quick question for you. Which are you finding more challenging to date and why? Is it supply side or demand side?
We're seeing that there is a supply constrained market because many of these operations need a lot of funding, or some of them already have commercial operations because they have a product that they are selling, but they have bottlenecks in their production. So what these corporations can do is help them remove those bottlenecks with smaller investment. So there can be, big investments for making a whole new factory, for example, or small investments for something inside a facility that will help them create more product or more process, therefore more CO2 being removed from the atmosphere.
Got it. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's keep moving forward. Our next presenter is another old friend of mine. Please don't hold that against her. It's Lindsay James, who leads strategic alliances at Nucleário.
Nucleário develops technologies to enhance large-scale tree planting, promoting healthier ecosystems around the planet. We are passionate about restoring native forests. Nature-based solutions offer a critical piece to the climate puzzle, potentially providing more than 1/3 of the mitigation needed this decade. In addition to carbon sequestration, forests generate countless other ecosystem services. Society depends on nature's gifts, and we want to help restore our life support systems. We know we need to plant a lot of trees and quickly. But planting trees is not easy, especially in tropical rainforests with difficult terrain, increasingly volatile rainfall and droughts, constant threats of leafcutter ants, invasive grasses, lots of sun, and not enough skilled people to handle the demands. After the arduous task of planting, crews must return to the site every 3 months for 3 years to care for the trees. And even with this intensive maintenance, many seedlings die. Using biomimicry, Nucleário created a reusable, multifunctional device that provides autonomous maintenance. Our device does the work of taking care of the trees, It blocks invasive grasses and leafcutter ants, and it retains rainwater. Our products create a beneficial microclimate around each seedling, like a nest, enhancing soil health and biodiversity. With Nucleário, field crews can spend their time planting trees instead of being stuck in the grind of intensive maintenance. Nucleário removes the costly bottleneck of maintenance, changing the economics of reforestation. As you can see here on the slide, trees planted with Nucleário are healthier, grow faster, and have higher survival rates, helping forests regenerate. We have a proven technology, and we are preparing to scale our production. The market is eager for Nucleário, with potential customers requesting a total of 236,000 units. Our operations are based in Brazil, with plans for global expansion. In Brazil, companies must restore large areas of native forest to compensate for environmental damage. This is our market entry point. We will also target commercial tree farms to improve their production. Our game-changing innovation overcomes many difficult reforestation obstacles. Our solution creates a multiplier effect so we can successfully plant more trees. It's time to restore native forest and ensure that future generations have a livable climate. Thank you. It's an honor to present here at VERGE.
Thank you, Lindsay. You're all doing such a great job of coming in right on time. Let's turn to our industry experts, Nick and Brandon. What do you have for Lindsay?
Thanks, Lindsay. I like that, like a nest. That's a great analogy. I have a quick question for you. I mean, you're coming into, to some extent, an existing business, tree planting. My wife is Canadian, and they do a lot of that up there. So I've heard tales over the years. Who are you disrupting, and what's the willingness to pay that you're finding?
So really what we're disrupting is the traditional method, the conventional method of reforestation. And so it's not so much a disruption as augmenting and complementing the existing processes. So we're really working with the forest restoration service providers, those crews, and helping them realize that they don't have to do the maintenance themselves. They can actually use our device instead of coming back and applying pesticides and herbicides. They can actually just plant the trees and then move to the next possible site and plant more trees.
So are you actually saving them money on that, or is there an additional cost on that?
Yeah, thank you. So right now it's about cost competitive on that. And also because it's a reusable device, then that actually improves the economics for the users.
Thank you.
Great. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Brandon.
Sorry, Joel. Who are your highest value customers from an economic standpoint and from a climate impact standpoint? And if those two are the same, that's fine. But if they're different, how so?
Well, because we're operating in Brazil, it's really, we have this government policy that is driving a lot of the demand. So companies that have damaged the environment must perform large-scale reforestation. So those are our customers. And so that also, so it's 2-in-1, really. It is best from an economic point of view, but also best from the climate point of view of helping restore native forest.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. We've got 2 more to go, so let's get to those. And next up is Olya Irzak, the CEO of Frost Methane Labs. Olya?
Thanks. We tackle methane, a greenhouse gas much more potent than CO2 that contributes 16% to climate change. At Frost Methane, we have a plan to mitigate 500 megatons of CO2 equivalent every year. That's like taking 100 million cars off the road. So imagine California carless, multiply by 6, and that's the impact we're going for. And we want to do this while having a fantastic business with large margins. So how do we do this? We sell carbon offsets to companies under regulatory compliance. For example, large emitters in California cap and trade. We produce these offsets by first finding high sources of methane, then installing our devices to neutralize the methane by flaring it, and then selling the warming reductions achieved in the carbon offset markets. So let's take a look at these steps in more detail. First, identifying the methane sources. We've combined multiple databases, analyzed satellite data, explored from permafrost methane vents to coal mines, and found 1.1 gigatons of CO2e, that's 2% of global emissions from only 3,000 sources currently unaddressed. After securing a site, we install our methane capture and flaring system with a robust monitoring system whose price we dropped by 10x. We monetize via the carbon offset markets. Our initial market is California cap and trade, currently $700 million a year market with a price of $425 per ton of methane flared. The world cares about climate change. Investment and stable regulation on greenhouse gas pricing is growing rapidly, allowing businesses like ours to thrive. We offer scalable, low-cost climate change mitigation by focusing on high-flow sources of a really potent greenhouse gas. Our team is amazing and very well positioned to execute on this vision. The engineering team has experience building robust devices in harsh conditions, from the nuclear industry to underwater robotics in Antarctica. The business team has experience taking projects from concept to multi-million-dollar business, and we have deep climate market expertise. Join us in effective elimination of methane emissions. Thank you.
And you get to meet the dog, who I assume is the head of HR.
Chief
Great.
Morale Officer.
Chief, what is it? I'm sorry?
Morale Officer.
Okay. In our company, it was head of positivity. Let's go to our industry experts, Nick and Brandon.
Brandon, over to you.
My question is, how time-consuming and expensive is it for you to locate sources of methane leaks?
So it's actually depending on the type, but essentially we already in like just a few months have a list of hundreds of sites that we're going after only in the US. And internationally, these are also, some of these are so well known that you can see them from methane satellites.
I was going to ask a similar question. I love the pictures on your site of some of your team. Makes me want to quit my job and head up to the Arctic.
They're all cooler than me, I promise.
So related to Brandon's question, how do you get access? Is access, I mean, you can locate the sites, but how do you get access to them? Is that an issue? And what level of customer traction are you seeing so far?
Mm-hmm. So currently the landowners and mineral rights owners for these sites are not making anything from the methane that's going up in the atmosphere. So they have an opportunity to both mitigate the climate warming effect and make revenue that they wouldn't have otherwise. So we are getting, everyone we've talked to has been incredibly positive about it.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, also inspiring. Well, we got one more. Last but not least, please welcome the founder of SilviaTerra, Max Nova. Max?
Hey there. All right. Yeah, just let me know when I can start clicking away. Yeah, well, great. So I'm Max Nova. I'm one of the founders of SilviaTerra, and that is not my slide. There we go. That's the one. Great. Well, great. I'm Max Nova, one of the founders of SilviaTerra, and we're using AI and the power of markets to supercharge the growth of America's forests. Now, forests have the potential to be a really powerful, scalable natural climate solution. However, there are a lot of structural problems with how conventional forest carbons are set up that can result in a lot of dollars being spent, not a lot of climate impact in return. And this potentially subprime carbon generated by these projects has unfortunately caused many sophisticated carbon buyers to remove forest carbon from their portfolios to avoid the risk of greenwashing. At SilviaTerra, we're using measurements and data to fix forest carbon origination and unlock a brand new scalable supply of high quality forest carbon credits. When the measurements are right, both the buyers and sellers can have confidence that real climate impact is being fairly paid for. Over the last 10 years, SilviaTerra has helped many of America's largest landowners, conservation groups, and government agencies to take advantage of remote sensing, AI, and cloud computing to create high-resolution maps for optimizing their forest management. And in collaboration with Microsoft AI for Earth, SilviaTerra created BaseMap, the first ever high-resolution forest map of every acre of forest in the United States. We update this data set annually so we can have a constantly evolving view of the competing carbon and timber economics in every forest and every acre every year. And it's beautiful. I got it on my wall back here too. So, and we can actually zoom into individual properties and see the sizes and species of trees on every unique acre. And this level of detail allows us to not only assess the amount of carbon on every acre, but also to look at the timber economics and determine whether the landowner is likely to harvest their timber soon. Our unique data set allows us to create a totally new data-driven market-based approach to originating forest carbon credits at scale. Our natural capital exchange, or NCAPX, is built from the ground up to create real, immediate, scalable, and efficient climate impact. We ensure that every year carbon dollars flow to the acres on the landscape where they create the most present day climate impact for the least cost. We've published a 30-page white paper on forest carbon economics on our site that you can look at if you're interested. And what's really exciting about NCAPX is that it moves away from this boutique forest carbon project style that only worked for the really, really large landowners. And instead, we use technology to allow every landowner and every acre every year to be part of the climate solution. NCAPX allows carbon buyers to pay landowners to grow their forests longer, creating older, more carbon-rich forests. You can even target payments to landowners in your state or in your supply chain. And in fact, we actually just wrapped up a big pilot project with Microsoft in Pennsylvania that did exactly this, and now we're scaling it up to the rest of the US. SilviaTerra is a venture-backed company that's fixing planetary scale market failure by explicitly valuing and paying for all of the values created by the Earth's forests. You can learn more about participating in NCAPX at SilviaTerra.com. That's us.
Great. Thank you, Max. We're down to just a really short time, so let's get in one, maybe two really quick, short and quick questions. Brandon, go.
Great.
What's the most
Go ahead, Brandon. You go.
What's the most difficult thing you've experienced in terms of getting landowners onto the platform?
The landowners are the easy side. We have a 1-year program as opposed to the 30 or 100-year programs of anything else. This totally fits with how landowners actually do forest management today. And so, yeah, the supply side is easy for us.
Nick?
And how's customer traction overall on the demand side?
Well, so we started off a pilot project with Microsoft. They've been amazing partners for us. And now our first big fulfillment event is in March in 2021. And so that's part of why we're at GreenBiz, to get everybody else on board too.
Great.
And we're glad you are. Thanks. This is an inspiring group of pitches. Feels like we could spend another half hour on this, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in just a minute at the roundtable. It begins at the bottom of the hour. I hope many of you will join us, and Nick and Brandon will be there, and they'll continue to the discussion, get more of their perspectives, ask more questions, and then, of course, take your questions to the entrepreneurs. In a couple minutes, when you leave this pitch session, you click on the sessions section of Hopin over there on the left side of your screen. You're going to find a bunch of roundtables happening, including the one called VERGE Accelerates Carbon Startups. That's the one you want to go to. VERGE Accelerates Carbon Startups. That's where the conversation will continue. But now it's time for you to vote. So the winner of this session is going to get to pitch another second time on Friday during the Grand Championship keynote program. Right now, voting is going to be open for 30 minutes, and the winning startup will be announced at the end of the roundtable session. So you're welcome to wait and join and vote more during and after the roundtable Q&A part. But you'll hear the winner there. The voting happens within a hop-in poll. So on the right side of your screen, look for the polls tab, and you'll see there's a poll asking you which startup you think you should win. And as I said, if you want to see who wins, please join the roundtable. Thanks to all these amazing startups. It's so inspiring and so hopeful to see all of what you are doing and how you are committing yourselves to these amazing solutions. And for joining us, of course, to pitch here at Verge. And you can, as I said before, search for all of these founders, send them a direct message right here within Hopin. And of course, thanks also to Nick and Brandon. They'll continue the conversation over at the roundtable. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll see you at the roundtable.